Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, West Valley Center for Spiritual Living.
And we have a special treat for you today.
Yeah.
The choir is performing.
Yeah.
They've been practicing for a few weeks, and we are ready to give you a little show.
Yeah. So, and Karen.
And Karen.
Reverend Karen is all jazzed up today.
Because it's our family meeting today.
Family meeting, so we're going to start it off with the song, This Is the Day. If you would please join in with us and feel the Spirit, we appreciate it. Please rise.
This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day, a day to be seized, yeah. A day I can feel my spirit set free. Yes, this is the day. It's time to fly higher and high up in the sky. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day all my dreams come true. Feel the Spirit working its way through. Yes, this is the day. It's time to fly higher and high up in the sky. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. Woo!
Good morning. Welcome to West Valley Center for Spiritual Living. My name is Reverend Clyde Goings. I'm the assistant minister here, and I'm really glad to see a full house today. So thank you, everybody, for coming, but everybody has to stay. We have a business meeting afterwards, and so we'll be going over the business from last year and also Reverend Karen's vision for this year. So a lot of good information after service. We'll have a quick snack and then come back in here. I want to remind everybody that, or not remind everybody, let everybody know that we have about 10 copies of the minutes from last year, and then a few copies of also of the budget from last year. We don't make a lot of copies. We're environmentally aware, and so if you want a copy, we do have a few copies that we'll have in the back of the room. So we have a lot of great things going on here in the center. It's just that we are just really, we hit the door running in January, and it doesn't feel like we're ever going to slow down now. So starting tomorrow is the 40 days of Emma. So it's our Reverend Karen's, but Reverend Karen's version of Lent, and it's 40 days, and follow along in that beautiful practice, and she'll probably talk a little bit about it during service. Then want to let everybody know on February the 24th from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. we're having a West Valley Wellness Expo. They're going to be Reiki, Qigong, yoga, sound healing. There's a lot of incredible stuff going on that day. On that, it's a Saturday. Reverend Karen's going to be doing a class starting February the 27th. It's a Tuesday. And it's from 1:30 to 3:30, and it's called Peace of Seeds. Oh, Seeds of Peace. Sorry, Seeds of Peace. And each week, she's going to be focusing on a different important peacemaker. And then there's going to be experiential activities to anchor ourselves in that lesson for that day. So that sounds like an incredible way for us to change our world. So speaking of changing our world, I was telling Reverend Karen, I've been having this really great time of finding topics to talk about changing our world. That's our theme this year. And so so there was a story this morning on LaChance. She's a Broadway actress, and she's a black Broadway actress that's been a lead and played in lead roles for several really well-known plays. But she's now moving over to become a producer in the Broadway plays, and so she's also the president of the Black Theater United. And becoming the black president, one of the things that becoming the president of the organization, one of the things that that the group has done is that they've got the commitment from the theater company that they will no longer have all-white creative teams for their theater plays. So I thought it was an incredible story. So she's this beautiful artist that's expressing her art through being an artist, being an actress, and now she's a producer, and she's changing the world. So what gifts and talents do you have? So let them shine and change our world, okay? So we can all change our world. All right, so let's say our, I've got so much stuff up here on the podium, it's hard to keep track of all this stuff. So let's say our vision statement together. So we are a loving, joy-filled community, honoring the many paths to God as we learn and live the science of mind principles, and so it is. So just sit back, open up your hearts, your minds, for the Bradford's beautiful music and Reverend Karen's important message. Thank you.
I will make a quiet place within my heart. I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord.
Be still, my soul, be still. Be still, my soul, be still. Be still and know.
I will make a quiet place within my mind, and I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord.
Be still, my soul, be still. Be still, my soul, be still. Be still and know.
I will wait upon the Lord,
Wait upon the Lord. I will make a quiet place.
And here in this still, quiet space, I know that that one power, which is peace and joy, love, happiness, harmony, wisdom, clarity, compassion, kindness, and so much more, that power is the power that is in charge here in this moment and in every moment. That it lives and moves and has its being in, through, and as me, in, through, and as everyone, everywhere. And it is actively flowing today. I know that Reverend Karen's heart is wide open and the divine moves through her to produce an extraordinarily gorgeous message that reflects all of who we are. It shifts us, it moves us, it lifts us. The Bradford's music, as always, opens our hearts and allows us to soar on the wings of the beauty of their music. I know that this service is already perfect in the mind of God, therefore it unfolds accordingly. I give thanks for every person who is here who has taken the time to stop and honor the truth of who they are. And in this moment, I give thanks, and together we say, and so it is. So my reading today is from This Thing Called You, and it is from page 108, if you're interested. You are an eternal being on the pathway of endless unfoldment, never less, but always more yourself. Life is not static, it is forever dynamic, forever creating, not something done and finished, but something alive, awake, and aware. There is something within you that sings the song of eternity. Listen to it. There is an eternal springtime of your soul, always rising, but never setting, is the sun of your destiny. Commune with this invisible presence within you until there comes a certainty which is beyond hope, something which enables you to see clear-eyed the future as you see the past. God grant that you shall enter into this freedom today, for you have a silent partner within you, whose energy is inexhaustible and whose intelligence is without limit. Find this and choose to make a close communion with your true center. Throw yourself with complete abandon into the all-consuming fire of inward conviction. Try to feel such a close union with this invisible presence that it becomes to you as an infinite person from which you cannot be separated. So allow yourself to feel that extraordinary divine connection from which you cannot be separated. So it is.
So we'd like to invite the choir up, I think, as our next event. So please join us, choir folk.
That's right. Yeah, really. In Napoli, where love is king, when boy meets girl, here's what they say. Bye.
Cupid is going to deliver some Valentines.
That's amore. Wow, that choir is really getting creative there. I saw Kay walking around this bottle of wine. I'm like, what are you doing? I mean, it's Sunday, it's church. Only here at West Valley. All right, great job, you guys. That was a lot of fun. Thank you. All right, so now is we want to have just a special recognition. Every year we recognize a volunteer of the year, and the volunteers usually have gone above and beyond, has really served this community in many ways, and a lot of times it's behind the scenes and we don't even see them, but they are here all the time in their presence of serving this community. And so this year we're actually recognizing Judy Baker, who is a practitioner of this community, along with her niece Carrie. So Judy, could you come up here, please? Carrie's not here. Yeah. So we have some flowers for you and for Carrie. You want me to help you up here? You got it?
Yeah, I am getting old.
Okay.
And good.
Yeah. So I wanted to share with you guys that so Judy and Carrie work on Thursdays in the bookstore, but they not only work in thrift store. They not only work in the thrift store on Thursdays, but they sell stuff online. They reorganize the thrift store, and so they're doing a lot of work in the thrift store. And the thrift store is a primary source of income for this community, so it makes a huge difference for us. And they do it week over week, all the time, and we don't ever see them, but they're always here every Thursday. So we want to acknowledge them, how wonderful they are. And we wish Carrie was here because they're a team. They're not ever separated, except for today. But we have flowers for both of them, and just want to show them the appreciation. So you want to say anything, or?
Judy is one of the first people I met when they were candidating, when they were looking for a new minister 13 plus years ago. And I was honored, I think it was during lockdown, when you reached your 20-year mark as a practitioner, and we were able to jump through some hoops, which was tricky because home office wasn't doing anything normal, but we made sure that Judy became our practitioner emeritus, and we're very honored and proud of you. And your undying love for this community has not altered in all the years I've been here, and your passion around the thrift store is more than commendable. It is an honor to add your name to our plaque.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Oh, did we forget? We didn't bring the...
So we have a couple of certificates here for you. But in addition to that, we have a song that we love to sing to our wonderful community members who are just beautiful. So if you could stand, and then if you could hold your hands up like this, because we want to send her love. And then the Bradfords will lead us in the song that we are going to sing to Judy.
You are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice of spirit on earth. And who you are and all you do is a blessing to the world. You are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice of spirit on earth. And who you are and all you do is a blessing to the world, is a blessing to the world, is a blessing to the world. We love you.
You got it?
Like a tender moment to kick off a Sunday message. Thank you, Bradfords. That's wonderful. You can pull that off. Chorus was fabulous. Thank you for that. The choir was top notch and lots of fun for us. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It's so wonderful to see you here. It's a big, important day. We're having our annual business meeting after we have a little nourishment. We are honoring the great stewards, the consciousness that keeps the church going year after year. This church is getting close to a 50-year mark, as long as we've been chartered, and I'm honored to have the title of being the minister who has stayed with the community longer than any other minister. Before me, the longest was 6.5 years. So I have doubled what they used to do here, and that's because you're so wonderful, and it makes me so happy to be here. And so much of what we're doing today is about the partnership that we create as a spiritual community. But this morning, I want to talk to you about your partnership with God. I had this idea, I planned it perfectly to fall on this date where we would be honoring our Volunteer of the Year, and we'd be looking at the idea of stewardship and the business of doing church. And I found this quotation when I was reading, interestingly, the same book that Sue read. I got this talk title from the book, this thing called You, Dr. Ernest Holmes, who was the founder of this philosophy, this spiritual teaching. And in that book, he said these words: "The business of life is to be happy, active, and whole. It is the activity of your partnership with the infinite." And so that grabbed me when I read that. It's like that whole idea that the business of our lives is to find that thread of happiness, that way we are divinely incarnated with this something that wants to be joyful and happy. We are given this gift of the way we can be active in our lives, and the whole purpose of the spiritual journey then is to figure out that whole, WHOLE, all of it, the way we are a part of something greater, and the way that life within us desires to express fully and completely in this sense of wholeness. And that is where, when we actively participate at that personal level with all the gifts that we have been given by the grace of God, when we actively participate, when we become partners with God in creating these lives that we're living, then everything changes. So we are called to be active, to do things, and to make choices in our life that will support this relationship, this ongoing relationship with life and with God in a really gorgeous way. So I love those three things. He said to be happy, to be active, and to be whole. And so joy, we have a natural inclination for joy. I mean, isn't it? Everybody loves it. I love the videos now that you can see on Facebook or Instagram of the baby that gets the giggles. And you can't resist it. You know, you can hear somebody else listening to it in the other room. You're not even watching, but it brings something sweet into our hearts and it makes us smile. We love that kind of uncontrolled laughter. And I think that that's a good image of the way that joy has been instilled in our character. And surely some of us are a little more lighthearted and happy than others in the way we demonstrate, at least. But that is a natural God-given gift to have joy. I love it. Not always when it happens to me, but I love it when something strikes you as funny and you can't control the laughter, and how often it's in the most inappropriate setting. You know, it's something. Have you ever had the giggles during prayer? You know, in church, or one time my sister and I were on an airplane and we were trying to do an overnight flight, whatever you call that, a red eye, and we just got sillier and sillier, and they actually came and asked us to calm down because we were, and then of course, then once they say the people around you are complaining, shh, then you laugh even harder. It's in us. It's in us. And I think those are such good illustrations of that. And that idea of being active, I believe that's expressed best when we think of it as the way we are most happy when we are actively expressing vibrancy in our bodies and in our minds. You know, everybody prefers a good mood over a sour mood. Everybody prefers health over illness. There are ways in which we were designed to be physically active, and when we're not, when the body starts to dwindle, then there's another kind of life that comes in, and we have new experiences. I love the idea that the wise woman comes into her power as she ages, and she becomes more sagey because now she can tap into her wisdom. We're no longer procreating life in that physical way. We're creating at a whole other level, and there's something holy and beautiful about all of that. And the holiness comes from that essence of the way the spiritual awakening, I believe, is about recognizing wholeness, that way that we are one with everybody else. We do live in this worldwide web of connection, and that beyond that, there is this partnership with Spirit itself that represents the holiest wholeness of all. I looked up some synonyms, some ideas on what is partnership in terms of a definition. And some of the synonyms that popped up were so great. To cooperate. Partnership is about cooperating. For those of you who have been in a relationship with a partner, marriage, that contract of marriage itself it adds a level of holiness for many couples to that way you are formally making a covenant together. So you cooperate with, for the highest and the best of the sake of the marriage or the family, or a community in whatever way that is. And I think that cooperate is a good word for partnership because it reminds me to be for, to be with, to be a part of the whole, and to not be against. So easy to speak at what you don't like or and it's much trickier to learn to reframe your language so that there's a positive way we can talk about what we're for, not what we're against. Another word for partnership is collaborate, to collaborate. And the idea of collaboration is to join forces. And when I think of that in terms of spiritual partnership with Spirit, with something in this universe that created us that is greater than we are, Now I understand to collaborate, to partner with God, to join forces. That takes load off me. I don't have to figure everything out, and I don't have to carry the load all by myself, because there's a power greater than I am that I can tap into and I can use. And then the other word for partnership that shows up a lot is a union. So there's an alignment, a way we harmonize with, we vibrate in sync with energetically. And ultimately, it's about unifying with whatever that principle or that oneness or that other person or thing is, unifying. When we teach positive prayer here, we have 5 steps to positive prayer. And the first step is recognition. We recognize the presence of God right where we are. And the very second step is that we unify with that presence. So it's a partnership. It's a way we join forces and we partner with the idea of good, of overall well-being, not just for ourselves, but in a way that benefits everybody's. And eventually, we come to realize that God's will for us is that oneness, is that connection. In that way, we can join and align and partner with Spirit for good, so that there can be a greater experience of good right here on this planet. I looked at the definitions for partnership, and they were very legalistic, and I thought, well, we teach love and we teach law here, so maybe those legalistic definitions can have meaning to us. And so I played with it a little bit, and it said a partnership is an arrangement between 2 or more people to oversee the operations of whatever the topic is, whatever the entity is. So what if we could see it as an arrangement between 2 or more, God and myself? Now we can see that there's a wholeness, but just as there is love and there's law, there's God and there's me, and no, I cannot be separated from that, but I am not all that God is. I mean, all the divinity is gifted to us in the cells of our body. There's an intelligence that knows how to do all kinds of things that we take for granted. But now I'm looking at this idea that we have an arrangement in overseeing the operations or the functioning of our own lives, and generally speaking, we could say the planet as well. But the second half of that sentence says that what we're sharing in overseeing the operations is we're looking at profits and liabilities. From a business point of view, it's sharing the load, the profits and the liabilities. And I thought, man, that does sound like marriage to me. I loved being married. I love that idea of partnership, and it is, we do share the load. I don't like being responsible for the house all by myself now. It's hard. I was a kept woman for 50 years. And so I appreciate that. Let me just say I value it. I said to one of my kids recently, it's like our love just grows since he passed. It's like I could tell the love didn't die. The love just keeps growing. And one of my kids went, yeah, Mom, that's because he doesn't live with you every day. You're not picking up his dirty socks anymore and, all of that. So I don't know, maybe she's right, maybe. But the love is alive. I can honestly give my testament to that the love remains alive. It's a beautiful experience to know that and be able to say it with such conviction. But I like that part of marriage where you share what's good, but you also have somebody to share the heavy load to. If there's something to worry about, it's so nice when there's that there. And that's what I want to tell you, is that this is a partnership with some power greater than you are, that is not in a marital relationship or any other physical relationship with you. It is way more intimate than that, and it is always ongoing. We sort of weave in and out of remembering, but it is constant. So I like this whole idea of having an arrangement with Spirit, concerning the operations of life as it is through my experience of living. And then part of that partnership means I have to pay close attention to what's not mine. There are things for me to do. There is no doubt about it. I can help make the world a better place just with the intention of it. And that will make my life happier as well. But there are other things that I can't rearrange and fix. And yet, if you look at nature, how brilliantly everything in the universe partners with that infinite intelligence to heal and restore wholeness and goodness. And we can be a player in all of that. I just recommend we know what's ours and know what's not yours and do good work when you're doing your work. While I was on vacation in January, I read a lot of Deepak Chopra. I have not read him in years. I don't know why, but these two books grabbed me. And as I was writing this material, I reflected back on something I read from Deepak. Deepak has a theory about this idea of partnership with God, and he talks about it as a way that we enter into the kingdom. Now, remember, he's not a Christian man. Although one of the books I read was his theory of Jesus, which was fabulous, absolutely fascinating. But we enter into the kingdom of God, or in Deepak's words, we enter into union with the divine. This is a lovely way to think about it in a bigger context. So the way to find heaven is to look within. You know, we've all heard that before. And it becomes a way of recognizing that all of the divine things, the presence of God on the planet, is not stuff we see. We see the effect of the presence of God, but we don't see the invisible divinity itself. And so there's another way of looking and seeing and expecting to see, be able to recognize the hand of God in the affairs of our lives. And at the same time, realize in that much larger way, what we're trying to learn to understand is that there is a presence that is the glue that holds the entire universe together, that keeps everything in order, that allows things to continue, that then teaches us about the eternality of life and the holiness of all of life. Deepak calls it the journey home because it's not like it isn't already, even the infant is one with spirit as much as the enlightened master. Nobody has more or less. It's about what we do with it as we grow and gain wisdom. But it's the journey home because there's a theory in almost every spiritual tradition. There's some story that talks about why things got so bad. And in Christianity, it's, Adam and Eve. They messed up, right? He blamed it on her. She blamed it on the snake. And next thing you know, God is looking and he sees Adam hiding in the bushes. And he goes, "Why are you hiding?" And Adam goes, "'Cause I'm naked." And then God says the most powerful words. I love these 5 or 6 words God says to Adam. "Who told you you were naked?" I think about this a lot. This relates to so much of life. Who told you those lies? You see, with this story, which is it's mythological story that gives us something solid to understand. It was the end of innocence when they ate of the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and bad, when duality appeared on the planet. So I don't think of it as a literal actual physical thing. I think of it as a really important way to understand when we get too critical and we we begin to be absorbed in our life in seeing right and wrong and good and bad, then we're dealing with a whole different layer of things where we have lost our innocence, and therein we find shame. Shame is one of the hardest things to overcome. I've noticed when people grieve, sometimes they have deep shame, like there's something they should have done different or something they should have said to a loved one. Why do we bring shame into love? It's such a conflict for me, and I'm so grateful for people like Brene Brown, who she has dedicated her life to helping people understand and what you can do to notice that we are still walking around and God is still saying to us, "Who told you you're naked?" And it's just an invitation for us to re-examine our own beliefs. So the task of living is always about finding our way back to the garden, back to that innocence, back to the truth of our being, that there is no separation between me and the divine, and I get to have this gorgeous journey home to uncover this truth and remember it again deep in my soul. Jesus was such a good example of all of this. And when we're talking about partnership with God, nobody got it better than Jesus when he said, "The Father and I are one." He was able to absolutely demonstrate as a master teacher that there was a way we can be fully physical and fully spiritual at the same time. Right? So we come to church and we're here for a couple hours at best, and then there's 166 hours that remain in the week that we then have this opportunity to live and remember that we're still traveling that journey home. Some say that Jesus could be considered a great guru. And I thought that was interesting because in Sanskrit, the word guru translates to dispeller of darkness. The guru helps you recognize the light. And so I believe that we have a wonderful opportunity to partner with God and to be dispellers of darkness in the way that we live our lives. We can follow that example of this great teacher. Jesus came, there's that passage that I bump into every so often where it's like the good news of the kingdom. Jesus came to bring the good news. That's what gospel means. A lot of people talk about the gospel as the good news, and then they smack you over the head with it. Try and make you do it better, whatever it is you're not doing good enough. Old-time religion, we don't see that so much anymore because people got tired of it. This is the reason they say we're living in a post-Christian era. There are a lot more people that are claiming to be spiritual rather than claiming any specific religion. And this teaching has always, we've always done that. So it's what we were born of, actually. So Jesus comes and he brings this new message. He drops this news. The kingdom of heaven is within. He shows and demonstrates. He performs miracles. He heals people of blindness, and he helps lame people walk again. He gets the craziness. He casts the demons out of people's minds, and then he says courageously, "And you can do these things too." We can be dispellers of darkness. We can bring that light in. We can call that light in. We can partner with that light and with that goodness. And therefore, I think that to enter the kingdom is a beautiful idea, a theme. To partner with God, it's not about waiting till you die so you can join God. It's a message about turning toward spirit now, opening to that kingdom of God, to that presence, participating actively, working on that inward journey, what the Course in Miracles has termed a journey without distance. Listen to this quote. The spiritual quest is a journey without distance. You travel from where you are now to where you have always been. You move from ignorance to recognition. It's a beautiful quote. And yet I wanted to say even more. I wanted to say this morning, I wanted to talk about the way we seem to kind of crave for partnership, companionship, a relationship with the divine. There's a yearning at some level. Cynthia Bourgeot, whom I quoted last week, she wrote a book called The Wisdom of, I think it's The Wisdom Teachings, or I can't remember the name of it, but she said that there's a hunger in us. There's a hunger in us that arises within. It is calling us to find our own deepest aliveness. There's a hunger in us calling us to find our own deepest aliveness within the aliveness of God. One. That's a gorgeous quotation. There's a hunger that exists inside of each of us because there's a bond in there that cannot be broken. And every now and then we sense that and we feel it. And or when you're going through a dark time, it's such a gorgeous invitation to redirect your choices, your life, what you're thinking about. Meister Eckhart, all the great mystics, Meister Eckhart and Emma Curtis Hopkins, they all speak to the same thing. Eckhart said, from the 13th century, not Eckhart Tolle. Everybody gets them confused now that Oprah had made the other one famous. This guy lived well before us. He said, the eye with which you see God is the eye with which God sees you. Right? Emma said, as much as you want your good, your good is seeking you. We're saying the same thing here. These are really important ideas about how bonded we are with that power and that presence. That partnership is a simultaneous energy of connection, and it's like something sparks. When you know it, you know it. Something sparks, and there's an electricity about it. So that yearning, in science words, they would say, I have to say other people's science words because I don't have any. But it's about that yearning is our coming into a sympathetic vibration. It's a very literal, real thing. So it's sort of what we talked about last week. I talked about the heart. The brain sees in contrast, the brain perceives in contrast, but the heart perceives by harmonizing, and the heart seeks to harmonize with that essence of good. So blessed are the pure in heart. Right? Perfect explanation of that. Blessed are the pure in heart. Another one of the Beatitudes that I bumped into this week, the Beatitudes are, I never went to a church where we memorized them or anything. I don't know how I missed that. I didn't do much Sunday school, I guess. But another one that they're little short sayings, and they all start with blessed be, or blessed are. So the one I wanted to share with you this morning is, blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. What do you hunger and thirst for? I think some of our yearnings and addictions that we look at are simply that we miss the bigger thing, what we're hungering for, what we're thirsting for. This idea of hungering and thirsting for righteousness, we are not talking about virtues, and that's how it's been taught in Sunday schools and in church dogma. It is so much more than that. It's a yearning that is not about trying to have good morals. This is not about teaching children good behavior, although it worked. I raised my kids very fundamental Christian. There's a lot of fear of that I could use that wasn't my fault. It was, they had to answer on their own to the big guy. They're all in therapy now. I know, I'm proud. I did well. I know. My very first New Thought church I went on a Mother's Day and Sunday, and the minister stood up and he gave roses or carnations, I think, to all the mothers in the room. And then he said, "I want to thank you so much for messing up your kids that I make great money doing counseling." I think of that often. So yearning for righteousness is way more than following rules, having good morals, looking at behavior. In fact, if we could look at what it would mean in the day of Jesus, when these words were first spoken and eventually recorded, and what was going on in the culture of Israel at that time, we would see that these words were originally written with a much more dynamic meaning. And in fact, in the translation of the languages, we know that English is boring compared to so many other beautiful ways. I love it when I'm speaking to someone who English is not their first language, and they'll say, "Oh, I'm just not sure how to say it in English, and it translated. It just doesn't quite translate." When we lived in Indonesia, you would say, "Terima kasih" is thank you. And when somebody says thank you, the reply is kembali. So terima kasih means, may you receive love. That's how they say thank you. May you receive love. And then you say kembali, and that means, and may it return to you. So it's been suggested that in the day of the time that Jesus was living, when these lessons were a part of a teaching, a ministry, and we look at these ideas of the Beatitudes, the blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, that there would be a really intense, it was written, an intensity of connectiveness, a very dynamic, a fierce bond was one explanation I found. And somebody compared it to, the way it was worded, it would be comparable to talking about, for us now, like a electrical wire, a downed electrical wire that's still live on the ground. And if you go and you touch it, and you're electrocuted, you can't let go. You can't let go. It's a fierce bond. You get a little bit of the Holy Spirit, and it's a fierce bond because it's familiar. It's in you. You yearn for it. And now you have this gorgeous connection. To hunger and thirst would be like stepping into a force field when you find it. It would be like an energy that is just charged with holiness. And yeah, I mean, there are ways that sounds scary. And yet there's something in us that desires that intimate of a connection to God, a partnership, passion, and purpose. When we touch that, we touch the hem of the garment of that, then we are happy. Then we know pure joy. Then we are pure of heart. We can be active and vibrant and vital in the way that we live our lives because we are living from a space of wholeness. We would be anchored then in those moments. We are absolutely anchored in the aliveness of God. Some great mystics turn it around a little bit, and they actually say that what you're feeling in that yearning is God yearning for you. So I wanted to close this morning with a Thomas Merton quote. Thomas Merton, a great Catholic monk. At the center point of our being is a place untouched by sin or illusion. A point of spark which belongs entirely to God. That's what we're seeking. just an awareness of that. Join us if you choose. We will be doing a 40-day Lenten season experience with Emma Curtis Hopkins. I don't know that there are any workbooks left, but I'll tell you something. I have last year's. It's the same information, but the dates are all wrong, and I just found a box that I had printed of extra ones from last year, and if you'd like a free copy and you're willing to scratch out the dates and change them on your own, please let Colleen know in the bookstore after service, and I will, maybe I'll just give you the box and you can just dole them out as people ask. And I think we do have a couple still waiting to be picked up from people that ordered them. It will be an exquisite opportunity for us as a group to fast from negativity in this passionate season of Lent leading up to Easter. Oh, thank you. Thank you for saying that. It starts tomorrow. Yes. It starts tomorrow morning because everything, according to Emma, starts on a Monday, and every day of the week represents a certain focus that we take. It's I wrote it myself, and it's very simple to understand and follow, and have a journey with us. It's going to be really good. We're doing Spot On Thursdays, 1:30 in the afternoon. You can come in this sanctuary and have some kind of experience. You want to partner, that's time and the place to do it. It was really lovely. We had a really good kickoff, and then I will do it again at 6 p.m. in the evenings, and we'll be doing that also all the way through Lent. However, I want to keep doing that forever. So if you support it, I'll be here to do it. And that's what I wanted to say today. Ooh, I just feel a little rush here, a little rush of joy. I feel things shifting and changing as we ready ourselves for prayer. The holy words of prayer that open our hearts and our minds and allow us to deepen in our awareness that right where we are, God is. So I feel that presence of love in this room, and I know that the vibration of these words of prayer echo into homes where people are listening to this message, participating in this prayer, partnering with Spirit, all of us everywhere. And in this intense moment of absolute knowing, we open ourselves to recognize the value of spiritual conviction. We appreciate that spiritual conviction has to be followed by spiritual experience, and therefore we are active in our lives. We are joyful in the ideas of just bumping into the intimate relationship we yearn for in this partnership we have with the one God, one mind, one infinite Spirit, governing all of life. Everything in this universe moving in perfect order and perfect relationship, one thing to the next. So when it looks like times are dark or challenging, we know it is an experience of the nighttime. It is an experience of a dormant season that is making the soil of possibility in our own lives and the life of this planet and the life of humanity on this planet. It is making it fertile and ripe and ready for spring, for blooming, for newness, for our ability to rise just as we rise in consciousness at the idea of a resurrected way of thinking. So I know that this day we are greatly blessed. We are blessed to know that there's a wisdom in our bodies that allows us to be active and vibrant and vital. that knows how to heal what ails us. We rest and rejoice in the same way, knowing that our relationships are equally blessed and given the fertile nutrients of further and deeper development, the maturing of closeness in relationships, that same yearning that we feel for a significant other, and yet we recognize it's a tip of the iceberg of that yearning for more. So we feel the love of God. We allow ourselves to be vessels to take that awareness and to allow it to sparken something within us so that there is a healing process that begins again, that reorganizes and reorders our own being, our own thoughts, the things on our plate or our to-do list for the week. And therefore, we are pure of heart. We have yearned for the righteousness, and we are also willing to receive that. It is a request that is always freely given by way of grace, the grace of God, continuously forever flowing. I say thank you, God. Thank you, life. Thank you, infinite Spirit, for all of these refreshed ideas, for these new insights, for a cleansed perception. I give thanks for this with a full heart, and I release this now into the law, knowing it is absolutely done. And together we say, and so it is. Amen.
Grateful, grateful, grateful for all the love that I have. I am so grateful, grateful, grateful for all the love that I have. Everywhere I look and every face I see is love reflected, shining back to me. I just give thanks for all these simple things, the joy and peace that gratitude brings. That's why I'm grateful, grateful, grateful for all the love that I have. I am so grateful, grateful, grateful for all the love that I have.
All right. Thank you, Bradfords. And we're grateful for all the babies in the room. We have a talker back there. If you didn't hear her, we heard her. Anyway, so yes, we are grateful. I just want to remind everybody that we do not pass around the offering plates. We have drop boxes on the way to Pepke Hall for some good food over there. We have in the back of the room. We also have it in the bookstore. And I also want to remind you that that if you would like prayer, we have called to prayer right after service. You can just come right up here, and one of the practitioners will pray with you. So now's the time to celebrate the abundance of our life and the abundance of our community. And before we say our giving affirmation, I want to remind you, please stay for the business meeting afterwards. So go, and it's going to be right at 12:30, 11:30. 11:30. Get some snacks and come in. So let's say our giving affirmation together. I live in a consciousness of good. Divine love blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God, and so it is.
Please rise for our last song. Oh, it feels so good to be alive. Oh, it feels so good to be alive. I ain't thinking about my problems. I'm living now. I'm living now. And I ain't gonna worry about the future. I'm living now. I'm living now. So put your hands up if you feel a good time. Put your hands up if you're sharing love with all. Raise your cup if you're hopeful for tomorrow. Put your hands up if you're ready to have some fun. And sing it. Oh, 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 it feels so good to be alive. Oh, 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 it feels so good to be alive. Feels good, don't it? Feels good, don't it? Only got one life, live in the moment. Feels good, don't it? Feels good, don't it? Only got one life, live in the moment. Feels good, don't it? Feels good, don't it? Only got one life, live in the moment. Feels good, don't it? Feels good, don't it? Only got one life, live. Oh, 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 it feels so good to be alive. Oh, 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 it feels so good to be alive. One more time. Oh, 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 it feels so good to be alive. All right. Woo.
All right, thank you, Bradford. So we'll say our closing affirmation. Repeat after me. I partner with Spirit.
I partner with Spirit.
And spread love and joy in the world.
And spread love and joy in the world.
And so it is.